As the wind blows across the sea and the mountains and the valleys and all of what is wonderful things could we find the souls that are passive aggressive, the very souls that can mingle with the mountains of the mountains, and the very souls that can make it impossible for us to be delayed and to be debilitated when it comes to our actions. These souls are bringing down the world, and the very world that we live in is crumbling to pieces. We can find that the old structures are disappearing and new structures are being rebuilt. We can also find that our emotions and feelings can be very powerful indicators of where we need to go in our life. And that is because Mars, the planet of action and assertion and aggression, is entering Cancer on the 4th of September, where it will stay until April 18th, 2025. This is because later in December, around the 6th of December, Mars will go retrograde. In the sign of Leo, it'll retrograde back into Cancer, and that'll be really, really huge. So Mars will straddle those two signs, and it will mean that Mars will be retrograding back over two areas of life in your natal chart. I'll talk about the leonine themes when we get to Mars and Leo, but right now let's talk about Mars and Cancer. Mars will not enter 17 degrees of Cancer until around October 4th, where it will begin its pre-retrograde shadow time. So, with that said, I want to talk about the aspects for September 1st or for September 4th and 5th. And then I pulled oracle cards from the Mystical, so I have it upside down, Mystical Shaman Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, Alberto Vallaldo, and Marcel Villalobos. The middle name is a tricky name to say. And I pulled one card for each particular day for the collective. This is a collective reading. You can certainly, what I'll do actually is I will put a link to callebaronreed.com. This is what I'll start doing. I'll put a link to callebaronreed.com. You can go on her website and you can choose a deck from her website to ask a question of how you're going to be impacted during these 2 days. What do you specifically need to focus on? What do you need to know about regarding these couple of days? I will also link a PDF on how to ask the right questions because just as it is important to have access to oracle cards, it is essential that I provide you with a resource for asking the right questions so that you can know what kind of questions that you need to ask the oracle cards so that you're not stuck in the weeds, so that you're not confused, and that you're not um, asking certain questions and not getting the results that you want so that the oracle cards can be an effective and handy-dandy tool for you. So, talking about September 4th, the very, very first aspect that we have going on is Venus in Libra is conjunct Lilith in the sign of Libra. So, when Venus is conjunct this wild, nature, spirited, raw, feminine, um, constellation of the Lilith, we can really express our raw emotions in relationships. Our raw emotions can come out during this time, and these show up in our relationships of how we feel about our relationships, how we feel about the state of our own lives. These things will come up in relationships at this time. So it's really, really important to consider where these things are happening for you and are you managing them with practical care? That's the question to ask. Because oftentimes we have these emotions that are unfiltered, that are completely raw, meat raw, chicken raw, steak raw, beef raw, and these are not put through a strainer or a filter system. They're just raw, primal, intense emotions. And our sexuality can be increased at this time. We can have emotional connections on our own terms. This is the high word of this, to have emotionally nourishing connections with others that are true for you, that feel right for you, that feel good to you. your inner wild side might be difficult to ignore. Your inner primal emotional side might be difficult to put down. So express that out. Express that uninhibitedly, without apology, unapologetically, authentically express that energy in a way that does not harm or drive a wedge in your relationships. So that's what I would say for that. So you may become or fixated on a particular person. That might be one side of this as well. And the other thing is, where is there stagnancy in your relationships? Where your relationships sort of humdrum, same old, same old. There's not really a lot of excitement. There's not really a lot of activity in your relationships. Where do you need to experiment in your relationships? Do something different with your partner. Go somewhere else. Talk about something different. Talk about a different conversation module. Look at the computer to see what files your birth are from. You know, the experimental things that shake things up. You're shaking things up. You're not stirring them up. You're shaking them up. So where does there need a little bit of spice, a little bit of saffron and cumin in your relationships? So if you've been feeling limited when it comes to expressing your emotions, now is the time to set yourself free when it comes to expressing whatever you need to express. Venus will also oppose the North Node. So when Venus opposes the North Node in Aries, this can be, we are now finding that we're holding back expressing our love to someone else that we love and care about. This is a time which, this is set to be a time which is about opening up your heart and allowing yourself to express the feelings that you need to express. Being open-hearted, being, an open book, expressing those feelings, being open to other people, expressing their feelings, and holding loving and caring unconditional space for them, where you're accepting them and you're understanding what they're coming from, what point of view they're coming from, what they're going through on an emotional level. Um, this is where our open-heartedness can really put us in the driver's seat of our life. So there may be some challenges when it comes to getting close to others and challenges being vulnerable with others. Love in your relationships might undergo some challenges as well. It may be hard to understand your emotions concerning your love life specifically. So this, it talks about leaving behind relationships that hinder your personal growth. If there's any relationships that hinder your personal growth, now is the time to move on from those relationships. Any relationships that hinder your emotional growth. And don't become lazy in love. That's the other thing with this. Then we have the moon coming into a trine with Uranus. So the moon is in Virgo, Uranus is in Taurus. They're trining at around 27 degrees of Virgo and Taurus. So this is an Earth trine. So in general, the moon trine Uranus energy is about feeling freer. You're feeling uninhibited. You're feeling more open, like you have more space, more room, more breathing room to express your feelings. That's how this might feel. There might be change and exciting events occurring in your private life at this time. You may meet different people from cultural backgrounds of your own. That's the other thing with this as well. To open up your mind and expand your horizons and meet people from this culture and that culture and get to know how they tick and what they're about, that kind of thing, what their life experiences are. And so this is also about trying something new, trying anything new that you want to try, and also changing up your home environment. This is wonderful for that. This is good for trusting your intuition. This is good for expressing your individuality, expressing the kinky, unique, possibly in the mushka piles of side of who you are. This is about um, expressing your authentic expression of who you are. Express whatever you want to express about who you are. Now, So there may be situations that come about that may disrupt your stability in your life because Uranus is the great disruptor of astrology. Once you think that everything is going smoothly and everything's coming along, here comes Uranus to throw a curveball and throw an unexpected twist and turn your way. You may find that you have more freedom in your personal life. And if you have any stagnant areas of life, now's the time to shake those up and make necessary changes that you need to make in those areas. The moon will also square Mars, so this is a time to meet your desires head on, passionate way, in the way of the kings at the round of the night table, where you're passionate about going after your desires. I feel like astrology is limited because I talk about this thing the same thing, I talk about that thing the same thing. Basically, there's really not a whole lot you can say other than go after your desires at this time. This is a time to do what you're passionate about. If it's a project, if it's a plant, if it's a garden, if it's a house, if it's a lawn, if it's a sidewalk, if it's a square, if you're passionate about it, now's the time where you are given an energetic boost, that you have the confidence, that you have the drive to go after that thing. You may feel annoyed and or irritable at this time, so it's important to be aware of that. You may feel the need to act out of impulse, but because, and this is a square, the moon square Mars, so definitely don't act out of impulse during this couple of days and be mindful of where you feel like you want to act out of impulse. This talks about thinking through our decisions rationally, logically, and checking in with our intuition to see if this is the right decision for us. This is what that is about. So I'm telling you the energies of what's going on. I'm not telling you to focus on this or focus on that. That's going to come later when I talk about the oracle cards. This is just the cosmic weather forecast for this particular day. And for instance, in this case right now. So you may feel angry. There may be angry, frustrated feelings. You may release your feelings in a controlled way. This talks about you're letting your feelings off your chest. You're giving your feelings a run down the hill. You're picking up the leaves of that tree and you're cutting it up into little pieces and you're throwing it in the stream. You're finding a way to release these feelings in a productive way. You're taking off a roof. You're putting up a fence pole. You're putting up stairs. You're boxing in the gym. These healthy ways of, um, expressing your emotions. There may be difficulty to control your anger that might come about at this time. This is important to assert yourself and what you want to do in your life, not acting in an aggressive way, but in an assertive way. The moon will also oppose Neptune in Pisces. So when the moon reaches 29 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, and Neptune's at 29 degrees of Pisces, these two planets will oppose each other at the tail end of their signs. So this is an increase in your emotional sensitivity, feeling more emotionally sensitive. There may be misunderstanding when it comes to other people, misunderstanding others and what they're going through. And what they're feeling at this time. You may have a confusion. You may be unclear about your own feelings. You may be feeling like it's so hard to determine your own feelings. That's how this can show up as well. And so your intuition might be colored and might be tainted by your subconscious fears. Your intuition may be distorted by your fears, so it's important to be mindful of that and trust your intuition and get past your fears and trust what your intuition is telling you. This is what this is about. This is about relaxing and finding a creative way, a creative outlet to escape reality, be it a book, a film, a drama show, grass picking, a cherry picking, a strawberry picking, whatever area or resource you can use to escape your reality. The moon will trine Pluto as well. So when the moon is trine Pluto, this increases your emotional sensitivity, just like the moon Neptune aspect that I just talked about. So you may feel things on a more intense and powerful level. This is a way that this can really, really show up. Your emotions are amplified. They're thick. They're in bugadoons. There are infatuated feelings. They're engrappolated feelings. They're strong, and it takes a really, really powerful knife to get to the bottom of those feelings, to cut through those feelings, because they're heavy emotions. You may feel really heavy, weighty emotions. You may be more deeply transformed by someone in your life. You may evolve your life by somebody else who comes about your life. Relationships can also give way to intense emotions that the two people more have in their relationship. This is a time where you want to look into the more occult and taboo areas of life, such as sex. Relationships with others might be more dramatic and might be more profound as well. They might be like really getting down to the root core of what's going on and really deep, intense, emotional relationships that you can really find yourself in that situation. This is the time also to heal past wounds, to heal past traumas, to heal past fears, and all this kind of things like that. This is time to really, really cut to the truth of things, get down to the bottom of things, get down to the nitty-gritty to unearth the truth of things. And having spiritual practices. This is another great thing as well. Now, Mars is going to enter Cancer. Now, when Mars is in Cancer, we can find that we're not consistent in how we take action and how we assert ourselves. It's all based off of our feelings, because we may feel like doing one thing one moment, we may feel like doing the next thing one moment, we may feel elated one moment, we may feel down in the dumps the next moment. So it's a very confusing energy. It's like our emotions are sort of playing ping pong, back and forth, playing tennis, playing football. You're throwing a ball from one person to the other person, and they're catching it. It's going back and forth. It sort of swings like a pendulum from one side and then another side. So our emotions are not consistent. We can really find during this time that our feelings may have us we're acting on our feelings. This is what this is about. Or we can't assert ourselves. We can't go after what we desire because we may feel scared. We may feel down. We may feel hopeless. We may feel like we just want to nurture and care for others. Whatever our feelings are, they can interfere with us getting done whatever it is we need to get done. So that's how Mars in Cancer can be unproductive. Our actions can be interfered with our feelings. I just talked about that. Um, so it's important to relax during this time. Whatever you can do to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Is it an exercise routine? Is it eating healthier? Is it meditating? Is it going for a walk? Is it listening to music? Whatever nurtures your mind, body, and spirit, this is the time to do that. The other really, really big piece here is to not allow others to pressure you to feel a certain way. You don't have to feel a certain way for anybody. You don't have to be a certain way for anybody. Not at all. You have the full range of sovereignty over your feelings and how you want to control them in your own life. So if there's anyone telling you you should feel this way, you should do this thing, you don't have to listen to that. You don't have to go along with that if it does not ring true for you. Now, another shadow side of Mars in Cancer, and I have a personal story with this one, is passive aggressiveness. You know, if you have a grandma that keeps mispronouncing your name or missaying your name because of the recall system in her mind, or a grandfather whose system of recall is not um, as effective as it used to be, and the person keeps saying someone else's name and keeps correcting themselves, and you feel angry because you're feeling like, that is not my name. Call me by my name. Do not call me by that other name. You need to get better at remembering my name. And so those little annoyances, because Cancer is a very sensitive sign. It doesn't take a lot for it to get, ticked off. Think of like water. You drop a point, you like just hit a glass of water and there's movement in the water. Water is sensitivity. So those little things might make you angry or make you frustrated. Those things might bother you at this time. And instead of asserting yourself and feeling, feel living from the outside in, you're feeling drained and pulled down by other people. You're feeling like you can't assert yourself, or when you do, you won't win. And so you go to passive aggressiveness. You need to be true for yourself at this time. You absolutely have to stand on your own 2 feet. Stand strong in your sovereignty. Be true to yourself. Have courage in expressing your point of view and your thoughts and feelings. And don't allow other people to turn you into someone who is passive aggressive. Don't let the outside influences steer you away from your authenticity. That's what this is about. This is about coping with communication, and passionate expressions from others might be challenging. So there may be some passionate expressions by others that may be difficult at this time. It's really, really important to find healthy ways of expressing your feelings. This is super duper important. You may feel a desire to protect and nurture your family members and those closest to you. So that's one positive aspect of this, is you're feeling like you want to be closer to your family. You want to deepen your close relationships. For those whose North Node is in Cancer, and when Mars comes to conjunct your North Node, um, you can find that you're motivated to do all these things. Mars is giving you the gas in your fuel tank. It's giving you confidence. It's giving you drive to go after what your destiny point is, which is your home life, your family life, which is about nurturing and nourishing. So, there's also a desire to be close to the people that you love at this time. Um, that's another way that this can show up. And a really, really important date to note is Mars is going to enter pre-retrograde shadow at 17 degrees of Cancer on October 4th, where it's going to start to slow down, get closer to the Earth. Its energies are going to be magnified and intensified, especially when it reaches that station where it's going to go retrograde in December. So it's important, beginning October 4th through December 6th, to pay attention at what themes are coming up in your life in regards to Mars related and Cancer related matters. There is also another thing here is there's a need to control and micromanage others during this time. You know, they need to control your families be um to be in charge of your family members, to give them tips, to give them advice, to feeling like you have to nurture them, that kind of thing. Because Cancer is a cardinal sign. It's all about leadership. It's all about initiating what you need in your relationships. So Mars is, as I said, the planet of action and assertion. Mars shows you basically how we go after what we want in our lives. Mars also represents our sexual urges and desires. Cancer is about, this is time where we want to think about our safety and our emotional security. Do we feel emotionally serene and content and secure within ourselves? There may be difficulty with confidently taking actions to do whatever we want to do in our life. And we need to observe how our emotions affect what we decide to do and what we actually do and act upon. So we need to be aware of that and observe that um, at this time. So I did pull a card from the Mystical Shaman Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. And the card that I pulled for September 4th, what is the collective meaning of for September 4th? I got very first card of the deck, the Ancient Ones. Isn't that pretty? So this is about reaching, and actually I'm going to read from the guidebook before I forget. I'm going to read the essence of the card from the guidebook so that you can get a genuine understanding of the truth of the card and what it's really about, what the meaning of it is, understand the background of it, that kind of thing. So the essence of the Ancient Ones. The Ancient Ones are the shamans of old who defeated death and escaped from the tyranny of time. The Ancient Ones once walked the earth like us in flesh and bone, and now they reside in infinity and can counsel us after we say yes to our calling. They are available to help us attain our full realization. So this is about reaching into the future to birth a new destiny for the earth. This is what this is about. In a general sense, it's important to meditate on the question, what will your life be years from now? What do you want your life to be? What do you want your life to be years from now? What is the life that you desire for you to experience going to be years from now? Is it the house that you want? Is it the dog that you want? Is it the wife that you want? Is it the kids that you want? If it's the stairs you want or the screened-in porch you want, or not only physical possessions, but what about the job that you want, your dream job, your career, all these things. What do you want your life to be years from now? And now is the time to make changes and work toward the life that you want to do in tiny little micro action steps. It doesn't have to be a big thing, and it will take time for you to develop your life years from now. Just taking even the smallest step, even if you're moving one step in that direction, you're getting somewhere. Even if you're working a little bit, you're still getting somewhere. You're still working toward that. So now it's time to move toward that version of yourself and that version of your life that you want to experience. The other thing here is that it's good. It's okay if you start one project or if you have a lot of excitement and enthusiasm to start multiple projects because you have unlimited and abundant spiritual resources right now. So you feel motivated. You feel like it's right. You feel intuitively positive about going after all these different things. So now it's time to go after and start the many, many different things that you had. You're out of Mercury retrograde, so that's good. Um, so this is really about going after um, all the things that you desire, and knowing that if you trust your intuition and you trust going after the direction that feels right, it will yield. It will always yield fortunate outcomes. Now, on September 5th, the moon will oppose the north node. So when the moon is opposing the north node, relationships can be a source of growth and transformation for us. Now, the downside of this is that we may project our fears and insecurities onto other people. Um, Maybe you've done wrong in your relationships. So maybe there's an issue in your relationships that one person that you have done wrong in your relationship. So it's good to look at that and mend what you need to mend in those relationships. There could be conflicts in your relationships, particularly among women. This is a time which talks about getting emotionally grounded and fostering a greater sense of trust and connection in your relationships. We also have the moon coming into a conjunction with Venus and the sign of Libra. So this is a harmonious and loving energy. This is a time where we're more likely to attract love and beauty at this time. So this is about attracting. Venus is the great attractor planet. It's about attracting love and beauty to you right now. This is also very good for socializing and getting together with other people and meeting other people and making friends with people, having social connections with them that nurture you on an emotional level. You may be attracted to things of beauty in stores, so your eye for more beauty just increases and the volume knob is turned up on that. And so you may find a pair of shoes more beautiful, or a piece of clothing, or a dress, or socks more gorgeous. So your eye for beauty is just increased at this time. This is also where you can feel emotionally driven to buy something, not because of how it feels logically, makes sense in your mind to buy something, but doing it because you feel emotionally driven to buy something. So be careful of not overspending. Be careful of not impulse buying and just buying it just simply because of your feelings about it. Does it make sense logically? That's something to think about. So you may find joy in entertaining and cooking for others at this time. Don't overindulge in food and drink. Keep your moderation with that. You may be more in tune with what your loved ones are feeling. Um, there may be insecurities that you project onto your romantic partners um, at this time. So you project these things, you project the insecurities onto those people. You can also manifest what brings you emotional comfort and security. That's another piece of this. What makes you feel in the weeds, what makes you feel connected to the earth and sky, what makes you feel in a blissful place, in a very peaceful place. There's not a whole lot of things to say about this, because there's the vocabulary that we have is very limited. And I like to think that my vocabulary is very, incredibly wide and vivid. So, so this is the time to manifest what brings you emotional comfort and security. The moon will also conjunct Lilith at this time. So this is about connecting deeply with others. Um, Connecting deeply in emotional ways with others. Your intuition and creativity may be amplified at this time. This is good for delving into the depths of your emotions, delving into your deep emotions and sitting with them and feeling them and integrating them. Intense emotions and issues, emotional issues that you've repressed can come up for healing at this time, can come up into the light of consciousness at this time to be brought up and healed and looked at and examined. Um, and so you may have intense emotions that have been repressed. And so emotions may resurface at this time. So the card that I pulled for September 5th is the Earth Keeper in the reverse position. So I'm going to read to you what it says in the guidebook. It's card number 18. Let's find it here. So this is the essence of the card. This is what it says. just as you're involved in co-creating your world, you are also responsible for its well-being. The Earth Keepers are dedicated to the stewardship of the Earth and all life. They choose to hold the sacred dream of a planet where all beings live in peace and where the rivers and the air are clean. Remember that everything you do has an impact for 7 generations. Interesting number 7. So this card in the reverse position is about being conscientious of, knowing that as you care for your body, you show care for Mother Earth. How you care for your body is how you care for Mother Earth. So it's important to be conscientious of if you're using too much plastics or, your waste and those kind of things. If you're doing things that, it's a good time for increasing your carbon footprint or lowering your carbon footprint. It's important to be conscientious of what you're putting in your body, how you're nurturing, and how you're feeding your body. Are you eating a lot of sugar and you need to cut down on that? Are you getting enough exercise? Are you allowing yourself time to, I'm not gonna say it because it's unpleasant, but you know what I mean. So, are you, for me, I probably need to lower down the amount of sugar that I put in my coffee in the mornings. So that's what, I can do, in my case. So be conscientious of what you're feeding yourself. Take care of your body. Take care of the temple that is your body. And are you feeding on good things and good thoughts? Do you have a lot of negative thoughts running around your head? You're caught up in those things, and your mind is filled with clutter of negativity, of problems, of situations, of vendettas of the other person telling you this is what I think about you, and judgments and shame about yourself. Or now's the time to love yourself on a mental and physical level, and show you love yourself by also taking care of your body as well. So are your thoughts and the things that you're putting in your body good for you, or are they not? So now's the time to evaluate those things. All right, everybody, that is your astrology and oracle reading for September 4th and 5th. Let me know what you like about this video in the comment section below. You can also share it and be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss future uploads from me. Bye for now.